Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside the Blue podcast. So, today's episode, we're going to be recapping the Texas Rangers series for the Dodgers. We're going to get into all of that in this episode, talk about the takeaways and all that. You know the drill. But first, I want to start off with some LA sports news, specifically with the Lakers and the Kings. So we'll start with the Lakers. So the Lakers are officially in the playoffs. We know that. And the NBA playoffs officially start on Saturday. So it's going to be the Lakers versus the Rockets in the first round of the playoffs. So we didn't talk about the Lakers too much this season. Like I said, I wanted this podcast to mainly be about the Dodgers, and I would talk about LA sports if there was some interesting news or just kind of here and there type of thing. I didn't want to dedicate an entire episode or series of episodes to LA sports, but we've definitely mentioned the Lakers, the Kings, and also the Rams on this podcast before. And the playoffs are always a big deal, so we're going to mention that here. So yeah, the Lakers and the Rockets are set to begin the first round on Saturday. Like I said, the Lakers ended the season first in the Pacific Division, so that's always a good thing to see. You love to see that. The last time I talked about the Lakers, I said that they were just playing okay basketball. Like, they had a really hot start to the season, then kind of not fell off, but didn't do as well. But they have since turned it around like the rest of the season. They had a fantastic, good rest of the season. They played very well, and they ended the season 53 wins and 29 losses. So a pretty good season for the Lakers. And I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs. Their opponent, the Houston Rockets, ended the season second in the Southwest Division at 52 wins and 30 losses. So the Rockets had one less win and one more loss than the Lakers. So a very interesting matchup for the first round of the playoffs for the Lakers. They are pretty similar teams in terms of wins and losses. So we will see how that plays out. We will keep an eye on the NBA playoffs for the Lakers going forward. And then, speaking of the playoffs, let's talk about the Kings, because hockey is also going into the postseason. And the Ducks have officially made the playoffs at the time of recording this. I'm recording this, today is what, the 13th? The Ducks have officially made the playoffs because the San Jose Sharks beat the Nashville Predators. And so that was their ticket into the playoffs. If that didn't happen, then the Ducks would have had to have won the next two games, like one of the next two games. And they didn't need to do that because the Sharks beat the Nashville Predators. And likewise, the Kings also needed the San Jose Sharks to beat the Nashville Predators, which they did. But that's not all that the Kings needed. So part one is done. The Sharks beat the Nashville Predators. Part two is that the Kings need to win tonight against the Seattle Kraken. And at the time of recording this, they are currently leading the Kraken 3-0. And I believe it's still in the second period. Yes. I just checked my sports app right now just to confirm that. They are still in the second period with about 2 minutes and 49 seconds left. So they currently lead 3-0 over the Kraken. If they hold that lead and they win tonight, they are officially in the playoffs. And we talked about the Kings a few times on this podcast, and they started the season just awful. Like, the Kings, to begin the season and all throughout the first half, just were terrible. Let's just put it bluntly. I did not have them making the playoffs whatsoever. I really had them just kind of having an awful season, and I thought that we were going to enter a really dark period for Kings hockey going forward. But since the second half of the season, the Kings have really turned it around, and I really attribute that to the firing of Jim Hiller. I really think that needed to happen, and I really think that is what helped the Kings out tremendously. He was a terrible head coach, and I'm so glad that they finally got rid of him. And and I think that's what allowed the Kings to turn it around. They were playing extremely good hockey, and it also helps that they got Artemi Panarin. I think that's how you say his name, Artemi Panarin. They got him on the team now, and he's a really, really good player, obviously. And so all that definitely helped the Kings get to this point in the season to where they could, potentially be in the playoffs. So we will monitor that. I will say in the next episode whether the Kings made it or not, but they are in pretty good position, it looks like, to make it tonight. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about for LA sports. So now let's get into the Dodgers and what this episode is about, the Texas Rangers series. So the Dodgers won this series 2 games out of 3. So the Dodgers haven't lost a series yet. They have either swept or they have just won the series, taking 2 games out of 3. So they haven't lost the series yet, which is very good to see. But the games that they have lost have not been terrible, but they weren't good losses. Let's put it that way. Like, they weren't losses where you can say, oh, they really battled and put up a good fight. Like, no, the losses that they have been pretty, disappointing losses. So we're going to start with game 1. The final score of game 1 was 8-7. And the starting pitcher of note was Tyler Glasnow, who went 6 innings pitched, giving up 4 runs on 5 hits with 1 walk, striking out 7. So not the best start from Tyler Glasnow. You don't like to see those hits and runs, but he did still strike out 7 guys, and only issued a walk. So that's still, a pretty good stat line. Not what you would expect out of Tyler Glasnow, but, pretty solid overall. The Dodger offense put up 8 runs on 15 hits with 4 walks, and they struck out 7 times. So a pretty good offensive performance from the Dodgers, a lot of hits and a lot of runs. But I want to highlight 2 batters in particular here. One of them being Andy Pages, who, again, is still absolutely on fire. He went 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs. And I also want to highlight Max Muncy. So this was the Max Muncy game. He went 4 for 5 with 3 home runs, and one of those home runs was a walk-off winner. And we got the absolute coldest bat drop from Max Muncy that I've seen in a while. He absolutely knew that he got a hold of that baseball, crushed it into the right field pavilion, and dropped the bat, mic drop, to end the night. So yeah, that was the Max Muncy game. Very good performance out of Max Muncy. So that was awesome to watch. The Dodger bullpen this game went 3 innings, giving up 3 runs on 4 hits, walking 2, and had 7 strikeouts. So for the most part, the Dodger bullpen had a very good performance. They struck out 7 batters. Absolutely phenomenal. We are seeing the bullpen of 2024, it seems, but Edwin Diaz came out and got his first blown save of the season. He's the guy who gave up the 3 earned runs and the 4 hits. So not something you want to see from Edwin Diaz. He just had an off night. He got his first blown save, but before that, he was 4 for 4 in save opportunities and had an ERA of 1.80. So you can't really fault him for that. I'm just going to accredit it to just a bad game. It happens to the best relievers. They can't always be perfect. So yeah, Edwin Diaz got his first blown save, which led to the Max Muncy walk-off bomb. So yeah, that was game 1, a very exciting game 1, and the game that I will always call the Max Muncy game. So now we move on to game 2, where the final score was 6-3. The starting pitcher of note in this one was Emmett Sheehan, who goes 6 innings, giving up 3 runs on 4 hits with a walk and 6 strikeouts. So this was actually a better game for Emmett Sheehan. The first few starts for Emmett Sheehan weren't that good. I said that he had to make, adjustments or fix his pitching mechanics, fix command of his pitches, and it worked because in this stat line, he only gave up a walk. He struck out 6, only gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. So not a terrible start from Emmett Sheehan at all. And I think that he's going to settle in just fine going forward. The Dodger offense this game put up 6 runs on 9 hits with 6 walks, and they struck out 8 times. So not a high amount of strikeouts, but Definitely want to lower those a bit. 9 hits is good, and 6 runs obviously was just enough to win. Some offensive performances this game that I want to highlight were Shohei Ohtani, who went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Will Smith went 2 for 2 with 2 walks. And Teoscar Hernandez went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. So Teoscar Hernandez is having such a good start to the season. And I really applaud that, because I know a lot of people harp on Teoscar Hernandez for his defense, but his bat is still very important to this Dodger lineup. So the Dodger bullpen, again, go 3 innings, giving up no runs on no hits with 1 walk, and they strike out 5 batters. I want to highlight a reliever here, and that is Alex Vesia. So Alex Vesia has thrown 6 1/3 innings pitched so far this season out of the bullpen, and he has put up a 0 ERA with a whip of .79 with 6 strikeouts. And I just really love to see this out of Alex Vesia, considering what went on during the offseason, during the World Series. What happened in his personal life is absolutely tragic. And to see him having such a phenomenal start to the season and watching him go out there and dominate and just enjoy playing the game of baseball is just something that really makes me happy. I am so happy to have Alex Vesia back, and so happy that he is having such a great time out there and having such a great start to his season. And I really hope that he keeps it up. So yeah, the Dodger bullpen out there is looking exactly how they did in 2024. Very dominant and striking out a lot of guys and putting up zeros. So that's always good. So now we move to the final game, Game 3, where the Dodgers lose this game by a final score of 5-2. So this loss was pretty ugly. The starting pitcher of note in this one was Roki Sasaki. And after I give you his stat line, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on Roki Sasaki. So Sasaki's stat line this game, he goes 4 innings, giving up 2 runs on 5 hits, issuing 5 walks, and striking out 6. So he didn't give up many runs, but the walks and the hits are what concern me the most. And I really think that the Dodgers need to move Sasaki to the bullpen. It's like I said before, I think Roki Sasaki will do better out of the bullpen because it is limited appearances. He will most likely be out there maybe an inning or 2, maybe 3, maybe some long relief, but it is never going to be a full, let's say, 6 innings like a normal starter would go. I think the less time he is out there, the better he will be, and the better it will be for him, because he seems to not have good command of his pitches, and I think that the longevity of being a starter is really weighing on him. I think if they want to invest in him being a starter going forward, that they should send him down to AAA to just figure it out, because getting him reps at the major league level, I don't think is very beneficial to him, because it's just inflating all of his numbers. I think that they need to send him down to AAA to figure it out, like they did last year. And when he came back and he was out of the bullpen, he was absolutely dominant. So I think that that's what needs to happen. And I think that in his place, they should call up River Ryan. However, I don't think that that's going to happen, so we're just going to have to hope that Sasaki locks it in during the regular season, and as the season progresses, hope that he settles in, just like Sheehan is trying to do. And also, the Dodgers are going with a 6-man rotation currently because Blake Snell is out, so they have Robleski starting. In fact, he's starting the game tonight against the Mets. At the time of recording this, the game is going on. I have it on the TV, and they're currently beating the Mets 4-0. So Robleski is having a good start. We're going to go into his stat line, obviously, in the next episode after the Mets series, but that's what's currently going on. So anyway, I really hope Sasaki figures it out and settles in, because I really love Roki Sasaki, but maybe it's time to reconsider him as a starter and put him in the bullpen. So that was Sasaki's stat line, and now we'll talk about the Dodger offense. So the Dodger offense this game only put up 2 runs on 6 hits. They walk 6 times and they strike out 12 times. Now, that's a really high number of strikeouts, but the starting pitcher for the Mets this game was none other than future Hall of Famer Jacob deGrom. Now, we know DeGrom has been riddled with injury. For the past few seasons, he's dealt with a lot of bad injuries. But when DeGrom is healthy, he is absolutely unhittable. He is very good. He's a stellar pitcher when healthy, and that's the Jacob DeGrom we saw against the Dodgers. He struck out 9 Dodgers and only gave up 1 run, and the 1 run was a leadoff homer from Shohei Ohtani. So he shut the Dodgers down and struck them out 9 times, so we saw a really good classic Jacob DeGrom performance, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's the Dodger offense this game. The Dodger bullpen goes 5 innings, giving up 3 runs on 5 hits, walking 5, and striking out 5. So overall, not a really bad performance from the bullpen. Ben Kasparius was the one charged with 2 runs, 2 hits, and 2 walks. So he was the one charged with a bulk of the damage from the Dodger bullpen. He had a pretty bad inning. But other than that, the Dodger bullpen was not too bad, not as bad as they could have been. But yeah, the Dodgers end up losing that game 5-2, but still go away with the series win. So overall, a pretty good series versus the Texas Rangers. We saw former Dodgers Corey Seager and Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson just really didn't do much at all. Corey Seager had a home run the first game, and other than that, he was kind of quiet. He really didn't do too much either. And by the way, I really miss Corey Seager. I really think that the Dodgers should have just paid him any amount of money he wanted, because he was such a fan favorite Dodger and one of my favorite players for sure. So yeah, that was the series against the Rangers. Some series takeaways. I only have one takeaway this time, and that is that Kyle Tucker needs to improve. Kyle Tucker, this whole series was just absolutely awful. Game 1, he goes 1 for 4. Game 2, he went 0 for 4. And in Game 3, he went 1 for 5. He is currently batting .246 on the season with an OPS of .659. That's not a guy that is worth $60 million a year. You don't want to pay a guy $60 million for him to only be hitting .246 and have an OPS below 800. That is certainly not $60 million material at all, and I really think that Kyle Tucker needs to improve. He did have a good start. He's overall not terrible, but he definitely needs to improve because he is getting paid a huge sum of money per year and he's not playing like it. So yeah, that's my only takeaway this series, is that he needs to improve. So looking ahead, the Dodgers face the Mets. They are currently playing the first game of the series right now. As I said, I have it on my TVs, and so that's what I'm watching right now while trying to keep up with the Kings. And after this series is done, the Dodgers will go on their second road trip of the season to face the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. So 2 division rivals coming up in the Rockies and the Giants. Both are pretty terrible this season. Actually, the Rockies, I think, are actually a bit better than the Giants. Not to say that they're going to be a difficult team to beat for the Dodgers, but they're certainly better than the Giants overall, I feel. So yeah, some division rivals coming up in the Dodger schedule. And last but not least, let's go over the National League West standings. So the Dodgers are obviously still in first place at 11 wins and 4 losses. The San Diego Padres are in second place now at 10 wins and 6 losses. So the Padres are starting to heat up and play better baseball. They had a pretty horrendous start, but they're definitely playing a lot better. The Arizona Diamondbacks are in third place with 9 wins and 7 losses. So, middle of the pack, not good, but not terrible either. And then the Giants and the Rockies are both tied for last place at 6 wins and 10 losses. So that's what the National League West looks like as of the time I'm recording this. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Inside the Blue Podcast, and I will see you guys in the next one.